Hey, this is Eric Stackpole from OpenROV. A lot of people have asked me to show them more about the new version 2.7 OpenROV, and so I wanted to just make this video to give you a few more technical details about just what is entailed in putting this together and what it's like once you've gotten it built. So this is what the ROV looks like. If you're familiar with the previous versions, you can tell it's a little bit different. The main differences in the vehicle overall are that it has been made easier to build and much more durable so that it can be used realistically in pretty harsh field conditions. The first thing you'll probably notice is that it now has these black straps on the side. These straps are used on both the main tube as well as the battery tubes, and what they do is hold the tubes respectively in place. You can see the main tube doesn't pull out with that strap in place, nor do the battery tubes move. And also the straps in both cases keep the end caps from those tubes from pulling off. The strap is a compression strap, so it very snugly keeps those end caps secured. The internal structure is also a very big change from anything we've done before. It's still built out of acrylic, but it's now a much thicker acrylic. It's made out of 6mm thick acrylic. There are many fewer parts. It now just has a handful of parts that you have to put together, so the build is much quicker and easier to do. It's certainly possible to build this ROV in a weekend. We've also improved the motors. They're now higher kV motors. That means that they spin slower and have more torque with a certain voltage, so they're more efficient in water is basically the bottom line. They're also just better built. When we looked at these, we reviewed a lot of different thrusters, and these ones work out great. You don't have to desolder anything to attach them. You literally just solder the leads they already come with and waterproof those attachments to the harness. We've removed the shrouds that went around these in the past. Those didn't really help with performance. They really just kept things like fingers and seaweed out of the props, and now that's done with this kind of horizontal fin that goes on the bottom of the shell. Also, the harness in general is a much better design. You can see in the back here that it's just this kind of simple routed sleeved harness with wires coming out in different places. Basically, we've just tidied up the inside, so there are no longer any kind of loose wires hanging around that can get caught on things. In fact, the harness itself is now pre-manufactured. It used to be that you'd have to solder 25 of these individual harness wires to the DB25 connector inside of the main tube. But now that comes as a pre-made wiring harness, color-coded, so you know where everything goes. It's much less likely that you'll make a mistake, and it's much harder to screw up the soldering as well. We just wanted to make everything easier for people to build. Those are some of the big changes on the outside. Oh, one more change also. You can see that this is kind of this trapezoid shape for the vertical thruster. That's part of a complicated thing we've done to improve flow around the back of the main tube. We wanted to create this kind of laminar flow path going around the main tube to depart in as forward a place as possible, and that keeps the ROV from pitching up as you thrust down, which has been something that's happened in previous vehicles just because the vertical thruster is mounted aft of the center of drag. Inside of the main tube, you can see that we're still using the same Genius camera, but it's got a new light board. This is a custom-built board we've made that has brighter LED lights. You can get almost 200 lumens out of this. Also, the scaling lasers, those are these little dots on the bottom. These allow you to shine these 10-centimeter space laser beams to see how big things are. Those are easier to mount. The USB cable coming from the webcam we use now has a place to coil up inside of the chassis instead of wrapping it around like we used to in the past. And the entire electronics chassis is now built in a much more robust, simple way. We're now using new electric speed controllers. These are more efficient than the ones previously used, and they also don't need to be programmed manually. They can be programmed by the onboard computer, so you now no longer have to press this little button and make sure that each of the individual ESCs have the right settings. The computer will do that for you. Just like before, we have a harness. This one I've just kind of put on a PVC reel. It's two thin wires that are talking something kind of like IEEE 1901, the home plug AV standard, and they talk that way in a way that's kind of like Ethernet. Basically, they're converting Ethernet into this twisted protocol, and so we have just this little piece of electronics we've built that adapts Ethernet connection to this. So you don't need any software on the ROV. On your computer. You just log into the ROV's web server and you can control it that way. Finally, there are integrated weights on the vehicle. It used to be that you'd have to attach all these weights to make the vehicle neutrally buoyant. Now we've integrated those, so all you need to do now is add small trim weights to make it neutrally buoyant in fresh or salt water. Onboard batteries, like before, you can get about 2 hours of runtime. You can go to 70 meters of depth or so. Yeah, it's just built a lot more robustly, so you can kind of throw it in the idea is you could throw it in a backpack, just like a day pack, and go hiking to some really remote place to explore. And if this is being built as like for an educational purpose or something like that, it's also much easier to put together. We really had high schools and things like that in mind. We'd really tried to make it buildable by people who don't necessarily have much experience. So easier to build, more robust, more optimized for field expeditions, and still open source and intended for everyone to use. So that's an overview of version 2.7. And if you want to know more, feel free to check out our website at OpenROV.com or email us at support@OpenROV.com. Thanks a bunch.